Coastal View Subdivision, Section 5, located western end of Coastal View Drive. Applicant Lake Landing LLC is requesting final subdivision and site plan modification approval associated with the subdivision of land and construction of 9 single-family residents on a 30.86 acre parcel located in a WD waterfront development district under the code of town of Webster.
Good evening. Mike Ritchie, Coastal View Engineering. Thank you, board members. We were last in front of you, I believe it was May, when we presented the project, and we were granted preliminary approval. We were directed to work with the town on their PRC comments and come back for final. We have revised the plans based on the town PRC comments, submitted those back for review. As of this date, I haven't heard anything new in terms of comments. We've also submitted plans to Monroe County Water Authority, Monroe County Health Department, received their comments, and have revised the plans based on their comments. Here seeking final subdivision and site plan approval, and we'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Well, I guess the only reason we held it up, from final was just to complete all the issues with the PRC.
Right.
And we had everything else. Now, everything that's in these PRC notes, I want to run through real quick if you can. Just for we got it.
I don't have those current copies.
Oh, here.
Yeah, I'll read through them real quick. Yep.
Just run it through, because these are the things that we've been refreshed in anybody's mind.
Sure, absolutely.
That was the only thing that held it up.
Number one is Hammerhead is listed as 100 feet, should be 120 feet north and south. We have revised that Hammerhead to be 120 feet north and south per the town's requirement. Revised configuration works better now, noted. Grading comment, may need a guide rail assessment now that the grading and setbacks have changed. We've added a guide rail along the southern portion of the right-of-way. I believe it's 150 feet or so. Just kind of where that embankment gets a little steeper. Don't expect much traffic. It's a dead-end cul-de-sac, but I think that's a good safety measure. Stormwater, no information about the pond. Need to know the capacity, the response. The stormwater pond was constructed in 2003 and expanded in 2006 based on full build-out of the entire subdivision. The final section is proposed as 9 single-family homes instead of the preliminary design, which consists of 35 townhouses, which in our conclusion is a reduction below the preliminary design. So in our opinion, no further design or improvements are required. Another comment, back of the lots need to be drained towards the lake or gutter toward the road. Should be addressed in the SWIP. The town does not have a SWIP for this section yet. And the response is back of the lots will sheet flow north, front of the lots will sheet flow to the road, and the house roofs will be directed to the storm sewer via downspout connections. And in other conversations with Mary, we had provided her with the original SWIP and an amendment just noting the changes in this final section. Comment, are there easements around the pond or is it HOA maintained? An easement has been added around the pond. The easement is for access to both the town and the HOA. Comment, if the path is an open space, is it going to be developed? You need to have grading or erosion plan. Based on comments from the developer, we decided to remove that path from the plan, so that comment is no longer valid. And then silt fence shown crossing the boundary line. The grading there is concerning and should not have silt fence around that protected area. The grading plan has been revised to keep silt fence out of that protected area. We also kind of pulled back our grading even further from that 25-foot buffer to give us more room. Appendix D of the fire code is what dictates the dimensions of the turnaround, and then our response is the turnaround has been revised to meet the applicable sections of Appendix D of the fire code. And then a couple sewer comments. Existing sanitary vault force main now going into S12. Recommended that instead of having an inside drop, just bring it right to the bench wall and make it a smooth transition. And we have made that change to the plan. And then finally, can we make them remove the force main that is there since it will not be used? Could be a future issue if people dig in that area. And we've shown that existing force main should be removed on the utility plan. And that was comments that were written May 25th, and we sent this revised letter and plans on June 3rd.
And they've all been implemented.
They're all on the final plan, and of course, if the town has any final housekeeping comments, whether it be letter of credit, signatures of that nature, we'll make sure we work with Josh and Mary and get anything they need prior to construction.
And on the other side, has this now been determined to be part of the HOA?
The British Stacy is that's correct. This section is part of the HOA, correct?
Will be.
Yes, will be.
Okay, so we'll make that a stipulation in the resolution.
So it's been agreed that they will join the HOA. And to do that, they have to send an amendment to the CPS 7, to the Attorney General's office, which the attorney's working on now. So that they have 30 days. Once they get it, it'll probably take a couple months to get it. So it's in the process. They're working on it. And I guess the stipulation that you're going to put in there, I guess we have to be careful how we word it, because you can't stipulate that they can't start construction until you get it, because that's a few months off, so.
Well, it won't be anything by the time you put the road in, so if there's, I'm gonna just take a wing, like a year. A year would cover it? In other words, within a year, it becomes part of the HOA?
Oh, yeah,
I-
easily.
You know, it's, nothing much gonna happen in the next, 3 or 4 months.
Well, we're going to start construction like in the fall.
Yeah, that's what it's,
Right.
okay, yeah.
So years fine. I mean, it'll be done probably in 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so we'll say 6 months, and something like that work?
Yeah, should be
Okay,
fine.
is that okay with you guys? Make a 6-month period of time, extending it, before they have to actually join the HOA?
Yeah, they've started. The attorney's been hired. They're-
Okay, one other question now too. This is something I'm thinking, this is along with the other section over there. I don't know where that's gonna go yet, totally. Your properties run down to the water, right? Okay, if it's an agreement with everyone for the other section, that there's access, and I don't wanna say mean high or mean low water, but wherever the water level is, 10 feet from the given day when water is here, there's a 10-foot strip or 15-foot where people can go down. They already have the path going down there. But if everybody owns their own, then what do we do with it? They're gonna say, I don't want you on my property. Would you be agreeable to allow people just to walk the shoreline?
No, there's
It
probably,
really doesn't impact
I
anything.
think the property line might stop before that anyway.
Yeah, it goes-
I don't know.
It goes,
You're gonna start mean low water, right?
Mean low water, 243.3, so it depends on the time of year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So wherever it is, would you have an issue, I guess, forget mean high or low, would you have an issue with people walking along the shoreline?
I will double check that. I think it's probably fine.
And I don't know what they're gonna say either, but I'm just, from whatever it comes to these guys, it's gonna be the same question, You have a pathway going down now, the HOA does, to the water. Well, if you go down that pathway, and all those properties are sold, then technically, nobody has any access other than that one little strip. See what I'm saying? So if I walk down there, if I live in there somewhere, I wanna walk down, can I walk along and skip stones in the water, wherever,
It affects the current residents a lot more, because that's what the path is. By the time they get down to this side, but I think it's probably not an issue.
I mean, I don't eat for all, I don't see it as an issue.
I don't think you're gonna stop people anyway.
What's that?
I don't think generally you're gonna stop people anyway.
Exactly my point. Who's gonna know if somebody's doing it? But I wanna make sure that we do it legally, so somebody can't go put a sign up that they can't walk at it.
Yeah.
I'd be careful with allowing that for the new private owner, simply because
Jan, you gotta go through the mic.
John Gonzalez, 1030 Lake Road. I'd be concerned about extending that right to anyone in the subdivision, in particular, if everyone is a property owner there. So you give them the right to walk, you give them the right to swim, you give them the right to sit on the rocks, start a little bonfire, you give them the right to kayak and sit up there, make noise at 10 o'clock at night. I think you're negatively impacting the property rights of those new owners that own down to the lake. And I think you want to be a little bit careful with that. Getting down to the lake and enjoying it right from the walk down, taking a kayak out there, or doing whatever you want to do in that area should be sufficient. But I think you might want to be careful about impacting the property owner's rights. And then you start running into noise.
I don't think I'm impacting anybody's rights.
What's that?
I don't think we're impacting anything.
Okay, well, I just want to make the comment.
You're talking about the whole, we did this at the Bluffs and it works. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Yeah,
There's
no,
no issue.
I'm just making the comment because walking is one thing, but that right gets extended to other things, that the homeowners that are sitting there watching the sunset, and there's a little party going on down in the lake in front of their house. It's a legal right of anyone. I don't know. I'd be concerned.
Well, the access, John, I believe is just strictly for the homeowners, correct?
Right.
So it's a private access.
Right.
So if it's a private access, would you feel that some of these people are gonna come down to one of those houses and light a bonfire area?
Well, if you give them the right legally to walk all the way down,
So if we don't,
then you could be creating some negative relationships between members of the homeowners. Possibly.
If we say no, now that would mean you own X lot in the middle somewhere. You could put a sign up down there and say no trespassing. You know what I mean? You could block all the access all the way down. I mean, that's to me,
Just my
I don't
opinion.
think that's fair.
Just my
Well,
opinion.
anyways, let's see what
Yep,
happens.
okay, yep, thanks.
And I think the HOA could have something to say about that too. I mean, like you said, it is for the residents,
Yeah.
of Coastal View, and I'm sure they could have signs up saying no bonfires, no damage.
Yeah, and that's
personal
something,
property, that sort of
that's up to them. It's-
Right. And like
the
you said,
goal
it's
is
for
to let
those
people
residents.
go down and not be confined to just that 25 feet or whatever it is at the bottom of the hill, you know?
I agree, and, right, I think the HOA, it's a pretty
Well, we
well.
can get into that more with the other, when we get to the other part. I just wanted, if you're amenable to doing this, that's all. That's my question. You are, okay, that's all I want to know. Okay. And everything else you've got completed? Anybody, any questions or anything? This is all we asked for him at this point? Yeah, none, hold on. Anything else? Nothing? You guys are all good with it? All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Steve Terragino, 361 Coastal View Drive. Just a question on the HOA. When we were here last time, and I believe it's noted in the minutes that they had to be part of the HOA, while it might take 6 months or however long to get the CPS 7 amended, I just want to make sure that during that time frame, if we do start construction, can they be held to at least the architectural standards and all the rules and regulations as they relate to the CPS 7? I just don't want that gap in time between the CPS 7 being amended and them starting construction where they're basically saying, hey, we're not officially part of the HOA. We just want to make sure that the standards and all the rules and regulations are
Oh,
being
see,
met.
what it is, it's government again steps in, that's what's holding them up now. So I don't feel comfortable saying, well, you can't do anything until we actually see that document. But we also are saying you can't go selling the house, and then you start building and so on. By then, they'll have the paperwork. So the goal, we could put in, no building, no CMOs, no building permit or something. Until it's, all the paperwork is in order and they become part of the HOA.
Sure, I mean, we're fine with them starting
No,
construction as long as, we're amicable with
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement
in
with
agreement that
stipulations.
the follow the rules up, because we don't, let's hypothetically, if we have to wait 2 years
Mhm.
to get this amended, and they put 3 or 4 homes up.
No, that's why we're saying we'll give you like 6 months or something.
Okay, fair enough.
That was the point of that, so.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Actually, you know what we should do with this? They're here for final approval, but let's just talk to Roger. I think maybe what we should do is have a motion for, because we're modifying that original subdivision. And we should probably have a resolution that we're approving the modification. I'll make a motion, let me do this. I'll make a motion that we, for the modification to the originally approved subdivision. It's as simple as that. Need a second?
Second.
I'll get the motion.
Mr. Kashani?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Arena?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson? Mr. Coastal?
Aye.
Mr. Webster?
Aye.
That just covers it, that we did do it correctly. All right, a motion for final approval. Motion. First of all, that the applicant joins within a term of 6 months the existing HOA, homeowners association, I should say. The applicant is agreeable to allow passage along the water line of the lake. I don't know how you do that. Do that. Access along the waterfront, that's all. Shoreline? Shoreline. Yeah, okay, shoreline, that would be the flat part right at the bottom. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and make that subject to all the PRC comments. Let's see, the letter of credit to be posted with the town of Webster. Section Monroe County Water Authority comments. Didn't need any variances for that, really, no. Address any land to be conveyed to the town. Address any recent subdivision approvals on adjacent lands. What's up? This is the final. Oh, that's what you want to say, yeah, final. Subject to PRC, let me see, approval, subject to all preliminary approval, we should put that in there later. Subject to all preliminary approval conditions. Subject to all applicable governmental fees. Subject to all Department of Public Works approvals. The conditions of preliminary and final approval are depicted on the cover sheet of the final approved drawings. Letter of credit to the town for the project shall include the fee for the engineer's final certification inspection of the site. All stormwater facilities are to be constructed first. Downspouts, you're connecting, you're running the water. The backyards are going to the lake. Front yards are going to detention, right? Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and the house is going to detention pond.
Right.
The house is.
I'm going to ask you what you asking.
Pick your.
Let's see, subject to resolution of the final approved minutes, and significant construction shall occur within 1 year as deemed by the planning board to expire on, what is today's date again? July 6th, right? 2022. Anything else we need to put in there for this?
I have a thought on that, of letting people walk on your property along the shoreline. Could you put a stipulation in there that says that during daylight hours only, because there was concern brought up about a bonfire or wild parties at night?
Well, I find it hard to believe that homeowners are going to go down in front of somebody's house and light a bonfire, but anything's possible, I suppose. I don't know. But that would be something to homeowners, I think. They're going to want some stipulations in there. I'm getting on, this is totally off the wall with you guys, because I got two factions in here. You guys okay with something like that? You guys work it out with your HOAs?
We'll take care of it.
All right, that's where I want to go. I don't want to get into dictating something that's, comes back and bites us, Okay, all right. I simplified that. And let's see, what else do we have? Anything else in there? All right, well, that would be the motion for final approval for section. So, need a second, Mark?
Mr. Kashani?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina? Mr. Mixel? Mr. Coastal?
Aye.
Mr. Arena?
Okay, all set. Good luck with it, final.